Morning all, and I'm doing today what I did yesterday. I'm doing the preview before we get into all the hockey action, because once we get into all the hockey action, it's going to be a pretty busy day for me. And tomorrow's going to be a very busy day. We're seeing 6 games tomorrow. 6. And there's round robin games squashed right into the middle. So again, they're not first, they're not last, they're just squashed right into the middle. And it should be interesting to see whether or not these all start on time. Because last night we saw the first overtime, and in my playoff experience, these tend to come in bunches. Now this is a play-in round, so I don't know if it's going to come in bunches or not. I have no idea. But we'll start things off with Carolina and the Rangers. Now Carolina has home ice advantage, meaning they get to wear their dark jerseys. They have home ice, they have last line change, and that's basically it. That's how home ice works in these. And Carolina won over the Rangers yesterday, and the Rangers looked a step slower than Carolina. Shesterkin, I don't think is going to play game 2 either, although I will say I do not believe that Lundqvist is the reason that the Rangers lost yesterday. I think that Carolina was just the better team, and Svechnikov looked fantastic. That might have been the best game I've seen him play this year. And he didn't have to do any kind of weird, funky goals to get it done. He just went out there and his passing was on point. He was fast. He was on every puck. Every shift, he looked dangerous. This game starts at noon Eastern, which is 9 a.m. Pacific. So again, tomorrow is another full day. This is what's going to happen because you only have 2 locations just, broadcasting the games. And honestly, I'm kind of glad that I don't have to wear a jersey for any of the play-in rounds tomorrow. I honestly could see the Rangers bouncing back. We'll see. The Rangers need to take advantage of Kakko. The fact that he looked really good in Game 1. They need to, I think, elevate his position within the team for Game 2 and just let him run. And hope that turns things around. So, for the Rangers, there's always that chance he can turn it around. I don't know how much stock I'll put in that right now. Because, again, Carolina played kind of sort of almost a perfect game yesterday against the Rangers. It's hard to do that 2 games in a row, but when you got a coach behind the bench who might be stronger than all the players on the ice, maybe even put together, then, the fear factor has to, maybe not a fear factor, but you guys know what I mean. Just the overall feel that team had in that game yesterday, I don't think that the Rangers are going to be able to stop them. All right, so Winnipeg and Calgary. I'm going to start off with this. I've looked at different angles, and what I see is Scheifele going towards the boards, and Tkachuk going towards the boards, and a collision. And this idea that he brought his skate up and tried to stab somebody, he ain't Happy Gilmore. From my experience, when Matt Tkachuk wants to get suspended and he wants to do something dirty in a game, you can see it at full speed. And in this instance, it's something that if you watch that play at full speed, you don't see it. And I've said for a long time, if you have to look from a certain angle, really slow, and okay, here it is, here you can't prove intent. Because intent, you can see it. Tkachuk went to Scheifele. Tkachuk's been friends with Scheifele, and Tkachuk didn't go out there and go, I'm gonna, was he skating around and hitting everything that moved? Yes, absolutely. But there was barely any contact between he and Scheifele. It was one of those things where it's an accidental thing. And the whole, well, why was this skate up? Yeah, the ice could have been choppy in that spot right near the boards. And, these guys we're seeing ice surfaces where multiple games a day are being played on them. And it's summertime. So as much as they're going to try to make sure the ice is pristine, it's not pristine. And especially near the boards, you can find areas where it might be kind of choppy. I know one thing I learned going to hockey games this year and being down closer to the ice was I was kind of surprised on NHL ice surfaces just how choppy they can look. And I saw that at a couple of Vancouver games where in the corner I was like, wow, that's rougher ice than I would have thought for an NHL game. So, again, I don't see intent. The NHL, of course, we haven't heard one way or another if there's going to be any kind of discipline. I just can't see it. And yes, a coach is going to be upset that he's lost his best player. I don't know that I can see the Jets rebounding from this. I mean, unless there was some kind of a miracle where Vesalainen goes into the lineup and he's great, or some maybe Jensen Harkins goes out there and helps, chip in with a goal here and there, maybe Appleton. But without Line and without Scheifele, I think Maurice knows that it's done. I think that he knows the severity of the injuries, and it sounds like Scheifele's is really bad. To me, it looked like it was a knee or an ankle. Now, if it's an Achilles, and if it was Kachuk's skate that did it, that's some surgical precision if he meant to do it, because he wasn't even looking down on the play. So, again, Winnipeg now has to play tomorrow, and then they have to play again on Tuesday, and they're playing for their lives, and they got to play like it depends on it. And the whole idea of, well, now we got to go headhunting. No, they don't. They need to go out there and play their game. The Jets are not a team that plays that style. If the Jets try to turn this into a headhunting style of game, you're playing into the Flames' hands. The Flames are a very physical team. They don't mind fighting. They've got Lucic, they've got Ronaldo, and Tkachuk did fight last night. They've got Zach Ronaldo on their bench. Do not activate the Ronaldo. That's all I'm going to say. Do not give the coach of the Flames, do not give Coach Jeff Ward an excuse to activate the Ronaldo. Because he will take his skate off and try to stab somebody Happy Gilmore style. It's going to happen. That game starts at 2:30 Eastern, which is 11:30 a.m. Pacific, which means there's probably going to be a number of people who are at work who won't get to see that game. I recommend calling in and just tell your boss, just say, I'm sorry, I need to see what happens in game 2, and your boss will completely understand. I'm willing to write notes. Just let me know. I'm willing to write the notes. But again, I understand people are upset, and I was too. Scheifele's my favorite Jet. I have a Scheifele jersey. He is one of my favorite players in the league. I want him to be okay. I would love nothing more than to find out it wasn't as bad as it looked and he can come back and play in this series. But I did not see the intent from Tkachuk. And I've done videos on Tkachuk and his dirty play before. I have talked about how Tkachuk needed to slow his game down and needed to stop being a dirty player. And I took plenty of downvotes and flack from Flames fans from when I said that. But then he did. So Tkachuk has definitely cleaned up his game somewhat from where it was. And I understand it's not perfect. And there are still moments where he has those meathead moments. But I don't think this was one of them. All right. Moving along. Capitals. 41-28 during the regular season. They will have a round-robin game against Tampa. 43-21-6. This starts at 4 o'clock Eastern. So this game will overlap with this one. Now, I've been thinking about how to report on the round-robin games, and I don't think I'm going to give each game its own board and be quite as epic. I think the round-robin games, I'll put them together. So when we've got 2 round-robin games, I'll put them on the same board. I don't think it's a big deal because I don't anticipate there being the same level of interest in the round-robin as there is in the play-in games. So the play-in games will get more of my attention, which is too bad because Washington and Tampa could be fun. Washington beat Tampa 4-3 in overtime on November 29th. December 14th, Washington beat Tampa 5-2, and December 21st, Washington beat Tampa 3-1. So Washington knows how to beat the Tampa Bay Lightning, but they haven't played them since December 21st, which was before Christmas. So, yeah. Right now there's people going, I know that's before Christmas. Why do you throw that in? So on the Washington side, Backstrom, 61 games, 12 goals, 42 assists, 54 points. I would expect a helper or two from him. Kovalchuk, 46 games, 10 goals, 16 assists, 26 points. I'm going to be very interested to see how Kovalchuk does after the pause. I'm going to be interested to see what kind of player we get because he has shown that in spurts he can be excellent again. So he may very well, with the pause, be capable of doing exactly that. He did that for his first while as a Montreal Canadian. He did that at certain points with the Kings as well, where he looked like he was going to be about a point a game and then he would fall off. Maybe the pause helps him. On the Tampa side, I went with the guys that probably aren't going to get all the headlines, but they're key guys, starting with Tyler Johnson, who knows how to score key goals in playoff games. Just didn't last year. 65 games, 14 goals, 17 assists, 31 points. This is the start of the redemption arc for Tampa if they're going to have one. Barclay Goodrow, they paid a heavy price to get him. We'll see what happens. 70 games, 8 goals, 18 assists, 26 points. And Yanni Gourde. who is, for me, Gord is the most likely to go in a trade in the offseason. 10 goals, 20 assists in 70 games this year. And I do think he's probably going to end up on the trade block. This game starts at 4 o'clock Eastern, which is 1 o'clock Pacific. And it should be a fun game to watch, I would imagine. All right, moving along. Dallas, these guys right here, Dallas and Vegas. Dallas 37-24-8, Vegas 39-24-8. November 25th, these teams met in Dallas. Dallas won 4-2. They met December 13th in Dallas, and Vegas won that one 3-2 in overtime. So the last meeting of the year would have been in Vegas. That game was wiped out due to the world coming to an end around us. So after the pause, we'll see how Dallas and Vegas are for knocking the rust off, because they're going to be the last two teams to actually get onto the ice and start playing. Be interested to see how Heiskanen does. 68 games, 8 goals, 27 assists, 35 points. Really, really good defenseman. He does get overhyped at times. There are times where people say, do you think Heiskanen has, is he going to be like Hedman? No, I don't know if he's going to be like Hedman, but very good defenseman. But let's just, just let him be Miro. Let him be himself. Corey Perry, 57 games, 5 goals, 16 assists, 21 points. We're all talking today about Matt Tkachuk, which means tomorrow Corey Perry's going to take the ice, and I'm sure he will find a way to take our attention. Even though it's a round-robin game, I would not be surprised. Jamie Benn, 69 games, 19 goals, 20 assists, and 39 points for Ben. So I've been waiting for that sort of beast mode from Ben. We saw it at times in the second half of the season. I would like to see that consistent beast mode Ben that I know is there. I know it's there. I want to see it. On the Vegas side, Riley Smith, 71 games, 27 goals, 27 assists, 54 points. Looked excellent in the exhibition game against the Arizona Coyotes. We'll see if that carries over. Stone, 65 games, 21 goals, 42 assists, 63 points. And likely the best all-around forward the team has. He also, I think, at times gets a little bit overhyped, just a tad. But because anytime I talk about, I think, anytime I talk about William Karlsson, you're going to get well, what about Stone? Yeah, I know Stone's on the team. I really, really like William Karlsson. When you've watched him close up, and you've watched, and I watched Karlsson close up a couple games, I was like, that guy's fantastic at both ends of the ice. So not just, what he does with the puck, but he does away from the puck. And I know Stone does that as well. And it's definitely to Vegas' advantage. They have two players capable of doing that. And Tuck. Tuck looked very good against Arizona. Let's see if he can do it again. 42 games, 8 goals, 9 assists, 17 points. Again, missing time with injury. He'll want to put that behind him, go out there and have a good playoff. And, of course, the expectation in Vegas are pretty high. So I would kind of expect them to come out with some fire and come out to sort of assert themselves against Dallas. And I think the drive to be first in each conference, I think it'll probably be strongest from Tampa and Vegas. That's what I think anyways. But we'll see with the round robin how the coaches handle it, how the players handle it. I think the intensity level will probably be less than what we're seeing in the play-in rounds. That's just how that works. Montreal. Montreal Canadiens. Against Pittsburgh Penguins. Again, Pittsburgh gets last change. It doesn't really make that big of a difference. It really doesn't. You look on the board, you got two teams that had home ice advantage that won, and 2 road teams that won, and the one with the ultimate home ice advantage lost. But Pittsburgh, we'll see what they can do against Montreal. It felt like they hit that brick wall known as Carey Price. And again, as I said in the review last night, this is what players were worried about. So while the Dallas-Vegas game starts at 6:30 Eastern, which is 3:30 Pacific, this one starts at 8 o'clock Eastern, which is 5 o'clock Pacific. So you're seeing a lot of overlap between these games tomorrow. So again, I'll do my best to watch what's on, but I'll give a majority of my attention to the play-in round games. And so Montreal, if they win this tomorrow, like any team goes down 2-0 in a best-of-5, they're pretty much done. And this is why the best-of-5 format was not approved for round 1 of the playoffs. Remember, these are considered the play-ins, the qualifiers. Round 1 could not be best-of-5 because the NHLPA said no. The NHL was willing to make them best-of-5 or even make best-of-5 for the first 2 rounds, and the NHLPA said no, best-of-7. Because, again, they understood that best-of-5 series momentum is huge. You have one less loss you can take. Pittsburgh's used that up. If they lose tomorrow, that's it. Even though it's Montreal, and Montreal has shown this year they had trouble protecting leads and they had trouble with momentum, I don't think that if they go up 2-0 in the series against Pittsburgh that they're going to lose it. I can't see it. And if Pittsburgh gets swept by Montreal and find themselves on the outside looking in, I mean, it's not an indictment of Sullivan as the coach, but something's wrong. If they lose all 3 to Montreal a year after they lost in the first round in 4 straight against the Islanders, where again they were heavily favored. So public perception's going to change about Pittsburgh if they actually lose this series to Montreal. And for Montreal, there's no pressure. And this is why when people said, oh, well, what's going to stop players from tanking just to get Lafreniere? Players don't tank. There's no player in any locker room on this board right now going, hey, if we don't play well, we can get Lafreniere for next season. I know it's better than the Stanley Cup, getting the number 1 draft pick, said nobody ever. All right. Other than deluded fans of certain teams, might be like, yeah, you got a Stanley Cup, but look, we just drafted the best player, so your Stanley Cup is, well, they're wiping away a tear. All right, last up, Chicago and Edmonton. You'll notice that I've got every logo on the board because I'm using this for news of the day as well, when news of the day comes up. And today the only news of the day really was everybody wants Matt Tkachuk to be suspended for the rest of his life. Chicago in against the Oilers, and of course, this is in against the Oilers at home. This is their home rink. This is that whole the team. Edmonton and Toronto are going to have a huge advantage. Nope. Chicago was up 4-1 after 1. They had been down 1-0 and scored 4 in a row. Koskinen, I'm thinking, will start for the Oilers because I don't think Dave Tippett's going to be foolish enough to put Smith in again after that game. And for Chicago, they looked really, really good. That 6-4 score, I thought, kind of flattered Edmonton in that it was 6-2 until late. So those 2 goals late by the Oilers, they added some tension to the game, but in reality, that was a blowout victory for the Chicago Blackhawks, who made it look relatively easy. And it's easy to forget, this is a team that has a lot of Hall of Famers on it that have done it before, that have won 3 Stanley Cups. So you can't take them lightly. Edmonton needs to jump on them early, like they did yesterday, but then they need to maintain it. This game starts at 10:30 Eastern, which is 7:30 Pacific, and that'll be a fun watch. So I'm looking forward to whatever play today is going to make everybody rage. I think it's interesting because when I watch these games and I give you guys reviews, it is completely in a vacuum. I do not go on Twitter during games and look for reactions from people. I don't go on Sportsnet looking through articles, comment sections. I don't go on TSN looking for what all the reactions are. I don't pay attention to what I don't like Paul Maurice coming out and freaking out yesterday. That's predictable. It's predictable, and it's always the same storyline, which is the coach of the player that gets hurt is very upset, and understandably so. I'm not holding anything against them. The coach of the team of the offending player will then come out and say, well, I didn't see anything wrong with the play. I didn't think it was a big deal. The player himself will say, I didn't have any intent. I'm sorry that the guy got hurt. And then we as the fans, then we adjudicate it in the court of public opinion. And then no matter what the NHL does, it's wrong. So if the NHL comes out today and says we've decided Matthew Tkachuk should be suspended a game, 2 games, that's going to be wrong. If the NHL comes out and says there won't be any discipline for Tkachuk on the play, that's wrong as well. So that's how these things work during the playoffs. I just try to give you guys my unfiltered opinion on the games, and I don't look at it through any guys other than my own, and I don't have any weird bias. I think the funny part too was he's Bruins fan, so of course he'd like that. Because when Mark Savard got hurt, I went, oh, that was a great play by Matt Cook. Right. Yeah, that happened. Right. So, and then there was the Stanley Cup Finals, Nathan Horton getting hurt. I cheered that. No, I didn't. Anyways, there you go. So you guys are all set for tomorrow's games. You've got my continuing opinion on Matthew Tkachuk's play, which hasn't changed. And the whole, there's another angle. If you've got to slow it down, you got to look at it frame by frame. You got to look at it from a certain angle. It's really hard to then say there was clearly malicious intent. Is it ugly? It's an ugly injury to Scheifele, absolutely, and it may very well take him out of the game for 6 months, a year. We just don't know. But again, to me, I saw a collision. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as people will be known to do, and then they downvote because that button just that's there. I prefer the upvotes though, so hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for helping out the channel and helping to cause the explosive growth that the channel's seen over the last, I'll say, month now. Gained over 5,000 subscribers in the last month. So thank you guys so much for all of that. I will continue to be here providing you guys with coverage of each game as it happens today. And for anybody who's going to say, you just wait, when Pettersson gets hurt, then he's going to have a different opinion. I don't. Go back and look at when Pettersson got hurt and there was the Matheson suspension. And I didn't freak out. There really wasn't a freak out on my part. If anything, I came out of that saying maybe he does need to add some more weight because... Anyways, there you go. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. Once again, I will talk to you guys very soon.